So now I'm curious, what other movies are there where Val Kilmer, well, you know, acts? The Saint, released in April of 1997, directed by Philip Noyce, with a runtime of 1 hour 48 minutes. Starring Val Kilmer, Elizabeth Shue, Raid Sobedzia, and Valerie, or possibly Valerie, Nikolev. I love Russian names, I just wish I could pronounce them properly. A production budget of $70 million, a domestic take of $61 million, a foreign take of $56 million, for a worldwide total of just over $118 million, giving us a profit of $48 million. It's not great, it's not terrible, but it's one of those movies where you wonder where the $70 million went, because you watch other movies made earlier and for less that looked a fair bit better than this. Let's look at these characters. Val Kilmer as Simon Templar. On the whole, not a bad character at all. Fair bit of fun to watch. It was intriguing to watch him do his method of becoming a new character. Stands in front of the mirror, talks to himself, throws an accent around, makeup and stuff. That was pretty cool. And as far as the characters he portrays, I counted 11 different personalities. My two favorite ones being the Aussie thief at the start and the super camp German fixer. That was classy. That was some fun there. Basically, the Saint is your super smart chameleon thief. He doesn't have much in the way of moral compass, but that gets realigned when he meets the girl. When he starts to fall in love, much to his surprise and irritation actually. He's your analyst manipulator whose conscience is reawakened by a true and trusting good soul. And that good soul is Science Lady, also known as Dr. Emma Russell. Science Lady is what we called her when we were watching the movie because we forgot her actual name and my wife and I just ended up calling her that. Dr. Russell is a genuinely sweet, good-natured, nice, caring person. She has no business being in the industry she's in and having anything to do with Simon Templar. She really doesn't understand the danger she's in until the bullets start flying. But happily, reality kicks in pretty quick at that point. All around a good character, remarkable in her optimism. Then you have your two villains, Ivan and Ilya Tretiak. Basically a Russian trade prince who is planning to overthrow the Russian government and become the new head of state. He has a somewhat convoluted plan that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, it's a long con that turns into a desperate play when things start to unravel. Together, he and his son prove to be quite a formidable problem for the Saint. Relentless, ruthless, a constant irritation, a physical and mental threat to the Saint, to Dr. Russell, to everyone else. Thoroughly generic, but highly effective. Not much more to say on the characters, other than we've got three standout support actors or cameos really. We've got the lead detective from Scotland Yard chasing him down. I forget this guy's name. I've seen him everywhere. He's a really good actor. I quite enjoy him. Totally wasted in this movie. Then you got this dude. He was Timms or Pims from the Tomb Raider 1 movie. I've only seen him a few times popping up in different movies. And the moment I saw him, I wanted to go watch Tomb Raider again. Safe to say there's a Tomb Raider 1 movie review in your future. And this underworld art dealer. I have no idea why she's in the movie. She literally just pops up out of nowhere and has a second scene for no given reason. But alright, whatever. She was kind of entertaining. Oh, okay, one more. The science guy for the Russian team. His role was very limited. He didn't really, I suppose, do much. He just propagated this science is experimental, it won't work myth. And then he switches sides at the very end for the good of his people, which I actually really liked. An unexpected, wholesome character twist. So, total score for the characters. They were okay. Nothing really bad about them. What could have been really good was dragged down by the fact they got a little average every now and then it got good, then it got bad. The usual thing in these sorts of movies. So it ends up sitting on a 3. Story, it's a mix of good idea and, I don't know, car crash. It's a mix of heist, unexpected romance, and inexplicable circumstance. It's weird. Professional thief is hard to do a job. He does the job, he gets busted doing the job, however. Now, the people he steals from then contact him somehow. That wasn't explained how they knew how to get hold of him, nor was it ever explained what was the thing he stole in the first place. It was a microchip, and you never found out what was on it or why. Anyhow, apparently impressed with his thieving skills, they hire him to go and steal a formula from a scientist. Take that formula, deliver it to them, which he does. However, the trick is he falls in love with the scientist much to his, well, surprise. Wasn't a surprise for us, we knew that was coming. It's kind of heavily telegraphed. I suppose the only surprise is how hard he falls and how fast. Anyway, formula stolen and delivered. The formula doesn't make a lot of sense without her brain to back it up, so they assume they've been double-crossed and go about trying to kill everyone. And then we get to the middle of the movie, the moment Templar goes to Russia to get his money back, the whole thing goes weird. I can only assume we're missing about 10 minutes worth of explanatory footage from all over the place as to why and how what happens next happens at all. Goes to get the money back, bumps into the girl who's tracked him down. Somehow the untrackable thief has been tracked by love, or just the fact that he uses really obvious aliases wherever he goes. They get arrested, they're taken off to see the big bad. They escape from the big bad's police force, then they disappear into the streets at night. The next time you see them it's daytime. They're running along a riverfront. Templar falls in the water, has to hide underwater in this freezing temperature. Then they run off into a building. For no apparent reason, a prostitute comes in and takes pity on them and escorts them into her family's home. Hang on. Yeah, bad guys turn up, they jump up and they run away. You don't know how they get away, but you suddenly see that they've gotten away because they're in a different room or running down steps and there's now bad guys chasing. They were in this one room, now they're somewhere else entirely. No, I don't know. They then slide down a heating vent and end up in the sewers. And then randomly there's an art dealer, an underground art dealer fence, who mistakes them for the American contacts that she's selling to, invites them into a little studio? I don't know. Tries to sell them some art piece. They say, no, we're not who you think you are. We'd like to buy those maps. She doesn't blink and suddenly, yes, I'll help you escape. And now they're being led around by the French resistance or the Russian resistance, or I don't know, they could have been in Serbia by now. It doesn't make sense anymore. Run down a tunnel, jump in a water pipe, crawl along to American embassy, get out. One gets captured. No, wait, they both escape? Yeah. He blows up a car with some incredibly poor Foley effects. She runs off and hides in the American embassy. Yeah, there we go. That's it. So save the girl, save Russia from freezing to death by giving the president the inside information he needs to defeat the coup, arrest the main bad guy, and deliver free energy to his country, and find the oil, the heating oil, that was hidden under someone's house. Like I said, it gets a little weird. I mean, it made sort of sense when you're watching it, but retelling it right now, I feel lost. And I made a lot of notes too. I'm still lost. Again, you gotta watch the movie. If you watch the movie, it makes sense. Mostly. But here's the kicker. The romantic subplot, which I'm going to call the main plot, because without that, none of this movie makes even a lick of sense, because Simon Templar wouldn't have had his motivation. If she wasn't in the picture, we don't get a story. So it's one of those odd subplots that without it, everything collapses. Alright, I don't know where else to go with this before I start repeating myself. It's 1/3 Bond, 1/3 Mission Impossible, and then the last third, the A-Team or Knight Rider TV series. As a result, I'll be giving story a 2.75. I mean, at the very end, it picked up and recovered, but it was not doing so good in the middle. Hey. Okay, look and feel. Well, this is probably going to be short. The good things. Location, location, location. America looked like America. Russia looked really Russian. England looked very England. The universities looked like what they're meant to do. The chalet looked like they were meant to be. The apartments looked good. The old school tech was fun. It was probably meant to be almost unbelievable stuff back then. But most of it now we can go, oh, yeah, we've got that. We have that. We've got a better version of that. Apart from his super duper pocket knife. That was, stolen straight off a James Bond set. That thing was crazy what it could do. The other good bit were his disguises. I mean, usually it was quite obvious it's still Val Kilmer, but then again, you're kind of expecting that. You kind of meant to know, I think. But what he did with his voice, the way he changed his acting style, his vocal range, his mannerisms, he mixed it all up. That was really quite effective. Yeah, disguises and location. Good work. And the opening sequence where he ends up pretending to be an Aussie thief. You saw Simon Templar at his very best. And he's great at it, although he makes a kind of stupid mistake by leaving a window open and gets himself busted. It doesn't matter. Bad bits. Okay, so the very early opening sequence, that was okay. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It was just kind of unnecessary. The kid actors they got in there, alright. You never know with 90s movies and child actors. Fight choreo, pretty lame. Foley work and sound effects, they weren't great. In fact, a lot of them, I swear I've heard them before on old TV shows like Knight Rider, A-Team, Airwolf. The explosions, the gunfire, the ricochet sounds, the loading of guns, yeah, everything. Car tire screeches, explosions, that muted, muffled sort of noise, which sounded about as good as that. It wasn't great. It really did stand out. What also stood out was the background music, the soundtrack. Oh, 90s synth. Hello. Yeah, it wasn't good. Drum beat and a bit of keyboard going on in the background, and it stood out. It didn't blend so well. It was really starting to annoy me, and it was like transition music. My wife said it's like off-key transition music, except it wasn't during transitions. I mean, it wasn't impossible to work through, but every now and then you're like, oh, why? Oh, stop that, please. Just annoying. So by the end of the movie, my impression was there was good bits getting drowned out by bad static, especially when the extremely average sound effects kept kicking in. I don't understand why a movie with this bigger scope and this bigger deal was being made about it at the time skimped out on something like that. Doesn't make any sense. So I'm afraid Look and Feel gets a 2.75. Would have been a 3, might have even been a 3 point more. Except, the sound effects and everything else that dragged it down really were a bit of a dead weight. So yeah, 2.75. Script and dialogue. Here's another interesting one. This bounces between bad to okay to quite good and just yo-yos all around the place in there. You can't get a lock on whether or not you're enjoying it or putting up with it. The good stuff, the accents, quite clever. The way he personified these different characters, also very clever. When Templar was being conflicted about the job he was doing, stealing from Russell, that was actually quite good. At one stage he looks into his makeup mirror and goes, "What are you doing?" Like he's really quite frustrated with himself. Then you get a shot of him pacing around in her lounge room while she's off in the bathroom, and he's literally going like, "What am I doing? Can't do this, I can't do this, I gotta back out." And he tries to back out. I really like that. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't expect his conscience to kick in that early. And the bad guys, that was the other enjoyable part. I mean, they are so cliche bad, but that's okay because you know what? They were consistent at least. Something needed to be consistent in this movie, and they were. Their cliche bad guyness, that was reliable. I don't know if this is good or bad, but when Templar is being the South African and the German, and sometimes just the other characters, he leans so heavily into the stereotypical caricature of these types that I can't tell if I was having fun or not. It was extremely hammy. Actually, no, it did make me laugh. I enjoyed it. Okay, I enjoyed it. Let's lock that away. The impersonation / extortion trick to get the money back, that was cool, that was clever. That's straight out of any other spy movie, and I liked it.
I then managed to knock my camera over, and the angle of the shot has changed from that point. So it may change in and out every now and then. Sorry.
And then you've got that sequence where they've been rescued by the prostitute, or they've been taken into her home with her family all living there. That whole sequence is weird. It feels very, very choppy. For example, the bad guys come in, they start asking questions. The father gets cheeky and they kill him at the table. Just bang, casually shoot him at the table. And there's really no reaction from anyone. It was odd. It actually felt like it was out of sequence, or it was part of a different scene that they didn't use, but they kept that part for dramatic effect. I don't know why they did it. I don't know what was going on there. It's just odd. It felt out of place. It felt out of place with the rest of the movie so far. How many writers were on this? Seriously. And the whole bizarre black market art dealer sequence. At first you thought it might have been one of the Saint's contacts or people he's had regular dealings with, but it wasn't. He was as confused as everyone else was. The lines that the art dealer delivered, and then the lines that the Saint and Dr. Russell gave back felt a bit stitched together, but then her reaction to everything also felt like it was one of many takes that they've decided to use. It's messy. It's just messy. And it pretty much derails the whole movie. You're just sitting there scratching your head wondering, why are they saying what they're saying the way that they're saying it, and why is no one reacting in the way that you'd expect? I don't know what happened. Script and dialogue gets a 2.75. When it works well, but when it doesn't, you're confused. You're just genuinely wondering what's happening here. It was going to be a 2.5, but much to my surprise, Val Kilmer lifts this movie with all his different personality types and representations of all these different characters he does. So, yeah, 2.75 before I think about it too much more. Fun factor. Did I have fun? Yeah? Suppose? Let's think about it. Am I going to watch this movie again? Not willingly. Let's be honest here. Probably not going to do that twice. I did find some bits really entertaining. I really quite enjoyed quite a few parts of this movie. But then when it was throwing me out, it was throwing me out pretty hard. Did have a really cool ninja suit. I just can't get past that whole middle sequence in Russia. It just felt like a collision of ideas. Seriously, the middle was so choppy in some places, you think that I'd been editing it. They did deliver on the Saint though. The character of the Saint was definitely here. I didn't hate it, it wasn't bad, but it failed to deliver on what it could have been. Yeah, 2.75. Final score, add them all together, we get a 14. That feels like an accurate representation of this movie. Almost good, but just missed out. The bits that were bad were pretty bad. The bits that were good managed to lift it up considerably. Am I going to recommend this movie? Not really. Maybe with a warning. On the whole though, I'd probably give it a miss. Watch it if you want, but don't say I didn't warn you. So there's my review for The Saint. Please let me know down below what you thought of this. Do you agree or do you disagree? Has anyone actually seen the old TV series or the TV movie remake that came along later? What were they like? As usual, please like, share and subscribe. And as always, I hope you're having a great week and you make some time to go watch a movie.